the winter of 1959, under the vast, indifferent sky of the northern Ural Mountains, 9 souls ventured into the heart of a frozen wilderness. They were not novices, not reckless youths seeking a thrill beyond their means. They were seasoned hikers, students and graduates of the Ural Polytechnical Institute. Their experience a quiet confidence against the biting winds and the endless, silent snow. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, was himself a veteran of such expeditions, his name a byword for competence and careful planning. They were bound for Otorten, a Mauta whose name, in the local Mansi tongue, is Site, Tumean, don't go there, a chilling premonition, perhaps, or merely a coincidence swallowed by the sheer scale of the landscape. Their journey was documented in diaries and photographs, a chronicle of camaraderie and the stark, severe beauty of the Russian winter, laughter frozen in black and white, smiles shared between figures bundled against the unforgiving cold. They moved with purpose, their skis cutting clean lines through the pristine snow, their spirits high. There was no hint of the discord to come, no shadow of the fate that awaited them on the slopes of another, unnamed mountain that would soon bear their leader's name. They were simply 9 people, strong and capable, walking toward a destination they would never reach, into a silence from which they would never return. The last entry in their collective diary speaks of building a snow shelter, of a normal day's hard work giving way to a night's rest. It is a mundane, almost anticlimactic final word. The world I knew them, was about to forget their continued existence. They were on the edge of an abyss, a place where the rules of logic and survival would cease to apply, and all that would be left were questions etched into the ice. The first sign that something was profoundly wrong came not as a scream, but as a silence. When the expected date for their return passed, with no word, no telegram, a disquiet began to settle among their families and the Institute. A search was organized, first with a sense of reluctant duty, then with a growing urgency that gnawed at the edges of hope. 4 weeks. Rescue teams on skis and an aircraft scoured the immense, featureless expanse. Finally, on February 26th, they found it, the tent. It was pitched on the exposed eastern slope of Kholat Sayakal, the mountain of the dead, a place the hikers had not intended to be. The location itself was a puzzle. It offered no natural protection from the elements, a baffling choice for such an experienced group. But the true horror was not in where the tent was, but in how it was found. It was half buried in snow, seemingly abandoned, and it had been sliced open, torn apart, not from the outside, as an animal or another person might have done, but from within. It was an act of frantic, desperate escape. The group's belongings, their boots, their warm clothing, their provisions, were all left behind, neatly arranged as if for a morning that would never come. It was the material evidence of a flight into the impossible, a panicked exodus from the one small pocket of shelter they had in a world of lethal cold. The searchers stared at the shredded canvas, the wind whipping around them, and the first cold tendrils of an inexplicable dread began to take hold. Why would 9 experienced hikers, in the dead of a Siberian winter night, cut their way out of their only refuge and flee into a sub-zero blizzard woefully underdressed? What could possibly be more terrifying than the certainty of freezing to death? The scene was a silent testament to a terror so overwhelming that it defied all rational thought, leaving behind a void of understanding. The discoveries that followed only deepened the mystery, layering the impossible upon the impossible. The first 2 bodies were found nearly a mile away, downhill from the camp, near the remnants of a small fire under a towering pine tree. They were dressed only in their underwear. Their hands were raw, their knuckles scraped to the bone, suggesting a frantic, futile attempt to climb the tree. Perhaps they were looking for something, or escaping from something on the ground. 3 more bodies, including that of Dyatlov himself, were found between the pine tree and the camp, their positions suggesting they had been attempting to return to the relative safety of the tent. They, too, were inadequately dressed for the brutal conditions. The coroner's initial report for these first 5 was simple, yet profoundly unsatisfying. Death by hypothermia. It was a logical conclusion, but it explained nothing. It did not explain the flight, the lack of clothing, the strange, almost ritualistic arrangement of their final moments. The real enigma, however, lay buried for 2 more months, under 13 feet of snow, in a nearby ravine. There, the final 4 hikers were found. Unlike the first 5, their deaths were not from the cold. One had a fractured skull, a devastating injury compatible to the force of a car crash. 2 others had major chest fractures, their ribs crushed with a force that no human could have inflicted. And yet, perplexingly, there were no corresponding external injuries, no soft tissue damage, as if they had been squeezed by an immense, unseen power. One of the women was missing her tongue. There was no explanation, no signs of a struggle, no tracks in the snow, other than their own. Some of their clothing was later found to contain significant levels of radiation. The case was abruptly closed. The official cause of death listed as a compelling natural force. The files were classified, and the area was sealed off for years. The questions remain frozen in time, echoing in the unceasing wind across the pass. They are questions that have no answers, whispered by the snow-covered peaks of the Mountain of the Dead.